Hi, welcome to Rocky Mountain Views. I'm your host, Martha Thompson. Today we're going to be talking about a fire that devastated southern Colorado. It was the Waldo Canyon fire, and it started June 23rd of last year, 2012. The community that was devastated, truly hard hit, was the Mountain Shadows area. Mountain Shadows lost 346 homes, and this fire was the most costly in Colorado history. It cost over $352 million. Today, we're so thrilled to have artist Steve Weed and his wife Lori Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you for asking.
Well, you live in Mountain Shadows area, and you still do today.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about what that experience was like for you. What happened?
The day we were evacuated, I was taking photos off our back deck of the fire, and it was getting larger and larger. I was concerned. Lori had lived in California, so she wasn't as concerned as I was. But
The day it started.
Okay.
It got big, and we were evacuated. One of the first to be evacuated, and it was scary.
It was terrifying, and
say
I was away,
to
so I
say the
know.
least, it was scary. I've seen fire, and I've seen how quick it moves. So it was. I think when it started, it was 6 miles from our house, and it was frightening. And we had good friends that allowed us to stay with them while we were evacuated.
And you were evacuated for how long?
10 days total.
10 days.
We were the first to be evacuated, and because our utility lines are shared with Parkside, which was wiped out completely, we were one of the last let back in.
Wow.
So we were out quite a while. Quite a while.
So what was that like for you during those 10 days that you were gone? Now, did you know that your home was saved, or did you have any information about that?
We didn't. We did not know. We had people Facebooking and calling saying our house was gone. We found out later there were posts online with aerial images of the neighborhood.
Okay.
And after the fire, an image came up, but our house was off the photo, so we couldn't see it. But it was right off the edge. And then the next day they posted another, I think it was the Denver Post that posted these aerials. There was an image and our house was sitting there.
Wow.
Now we didn't know if it was damaged, but the roof was there, the house was there. So at that point we knew it was standing and that we hadn't lost the house.
But we had been told from people who had been off like Pope's Valley Road area looking over, and because I had been caught up, which is another story, on Centennial and seen it blow over and blow the field up beside me, I knew that it hit our area. And my daughter was getting tweets and they said, "Your house is gone." And we were recognizing homes we were seeing up in flames on the television. So we were under the impression our house was gone, and so we went through the grieving process that we'd lost it, and rationalizing that it's just stuff and all of that. But definitely a roller coaster ride.
Absolutely.
sure.
And how old is your daughter?
She's 16.
That's hard enough being 16, let alone being 16
And
and thinking your
watching
home's
your-
gone.
And all your stuff.
And your friends and your best friends' homes that are gone, and their grandparents, and yeah, it was a very difficult night, and I think it was the same level of difficulty for everyone in Mountain Shadows.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone knew how bad this fire was going to be, and we do speak about loss of homes and loss of precious memories, but there was a couple that did not make it out of the fire in time, and loss of life is that's the loss that counts.
It really is.
And I'm so glad that no one else had to suffer that. And you speak of the community and how people responded, and it made me really proud to be a resident of Colorado, of this state, because the way people came through was unbelievable. unlike anything I'd ever seen.
It really was. In fact, when we got back and realized we still had things, even though there was, film in the house and we had to have the carpet done and the roof replaced and all that. But even that we had everything, I immediately started asking, how can I help? What can I do? And there was such an outpouring that I was told, oh no, you're a Mountain Shadows resident, don't you worry, we've got all the help we can use. And it was it was frustrating to me. We had to go see a new granddaughter who'd been born in Oklahoma. So we went there once we were back in, and 3 or 4 days later, after 4th of July, we went. And my mother's church, they had collected all kinds of stuff, so the pickup was just piled high with donation from the people in Oklahoma for me to bring back. And even when I dropped that off, they were like, gosh, we've got so much. And I was just frustrated, so I was like, I want to do something. I want to help. I want to help. I don't want to be looked at as, you get that guilt, that is survivor guilt that they talk about, and it's like, don't look at us. We've got our things. Don't worry about us. I want to know how to help the people that lost.
Well, in talking about how people came through and the type of individuals that are here, that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
Folks, the idea that Steve and Lori came up with in serving the community is absolutely beautiful. It doesn't matter if they didn't take her truckload full of things. They came through with a truckload. So please, if you would, Steve, speak to what you're doing, and let's talk about some of your beautiful work that you've done.
Sure. Thanks, Martha. When we got back in the house 10 days later, and I immediately went to the neighborhood with my camera. I'm a photographer also, so I started taking photos of the neighborhood. And I haven't really told this much, but Deshauna, our daughter, was picking up pieces of burnt paper that had poems and just out of books, the little pieces of paper that were on the ground. And she said, she was just talking about, I'd like to make a collage maybe for the firefighters to thank them or whatever. And in my mind, I was thinking, I know I'm going to paint this some way, somehow. That is what I do. I'm an image maker, and that's what I was going to do. And her thought of thanking people and helping, it hit me hard. And I was looking around, and I saw the charcoal on the ground. And as an artist, I use charcoal to draw all the time, and it just hit me. I think I can use this. I didn't know at the time. So I started gathering the charcoal up and immediately went to my studio to see if it would work. And started drawing with it, and it did work. And it was softer, so it blows off easier, and it's a little harder to control than the artist charcoal. But it worked. And I told Lori, I said, I'm going to do some drawings or paintings with this. And she thought that was a great idea. And over the next few days, I'd done some work, and she said, this is amazing. This is a great idea. And because we hadn't been able to volunteer for some things, because they'd had enough people, amazing community that's out there working. And she said, we talked about it, and I said, maybe we can do some paintings and auction them off or sell them, raise money for the community.
Well, I remember.
So that's where it started.
Yeah, and I remember looking at him holding the charcoal, and I said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Which the initial thought was, are you going to use this? You know, and I knew that after 10 days, he had expressed to me on the 9th day, I just need to paint.
I hadn't painted in 10 days.
And he was kind of a basket case, so I was like, you go, babe. You know, go down, get it out. Well, then he did that, and that thought also came to my mind. I think we were kind of heading in the same direction, and thoughts between our ears. Then when we finally talked, I said, Steve, if we can do this, I said, not only is it the potential that it's great, this has potential to be something huge. It really could be, because with his skill level and his talent, you're talking fine art out of,
very beautiful,
out of ashes, and I'm like that, and then giving 100% of it back is, I was like, that's how we're going to help. That's why our house was saved. That's why we're supposed to be doing this. And that it really hit me hard. And
Well, and at the time, Lori says it was my therapy. I didn't think of it as that at the time at all. I just paint. I do what's around me, and that's what I do. And picking up the charcoal seemed natural. It's free and it's there, and there's a lot of it, and let's see what works. I didn't really think about it. But after I finished the project, I realized it was therapy, complete therapy, because I did 20 pieces. Once they were done, I was done. I couldn't really do any more. And that's really odd for me because I paint every day, all day long.
Right.
But I did these 20 pieces, and there were some others I wanted to do, but I couldn't do them. I realized that I had done what I needed to do.
Oh,
and
you have.
and I had finished the project. So it was therapy, I think, for me, and I hope for other people in the community. You know.
It is. You were so kind to invite me to the Hayden Hayes Gallery at Broadmoor to see your works. And I thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
for coming.
I don't have a degree in art. I just know what I like, but I've always heard that the quality of art, that's really fine art, it elicits a response if you see something really good. And yours was so powerful that a couple of times I had to walk away because I couldn't hold it together.
That's amazing.
It was deeply,
We've had
deeply
even
moving.
firefighters. I've had them email me and talk about that kind of emotion, which is great. I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
that
we
people
first
have that
found
emotion
out
about it.
how this project, not just the auction to benefit, but the viewing, how therapeutic it was to the community as well.
Yes.
They had the Patriot Parade, which is kind of in the park in our backyard. And Tammy Oakland was so kind to say, here, set them up in this tent, and just kind of donated their tent to us.
Cool.
And the response that we got from that was like, oh my gosh. And so the light bulb kind of went off. That's what great art, public art does, is that it touches people. And so not only does this project, was it his project, and is it a way to auction that back, but this is also healing for the community. And that really came home to me that day. So then we showed some of the pieces at the What If Festival, and we were parked next to the fire truck was parked next to us at What If. We had grown men, just, and people who lived like over off Powers or in Falcon coming up and telling us their stories too. So it was eye-opening to me and to Shauna. She also was relaying the stories of the pieces.
And that's your daughter.
Yes, that's our daughter. That they had their stories too, and it became so awesome that these pieces get people to open up, and hopefully it also brings them healing. Just to see it and experience what that was about. Like, people don't know about the birds.
No.
And then, you see the painting and you explain it. Or they don't know how close those firefighters got to those flames. Really what these guys are true heroes, and the police protecting the house, and just everyone. So it's just a really neat, even a public art therapy.
It's very healing to see those, and I know even looking at the paintings of the firefighters, I had already held them in incredibly high regard, but I left in awe of what you had, what you painted. Now, you've spoken several times about an auction. This is an amazing idea. I want to talk about when the auction takes place, how everyone can participate, and what the funds are going for, what you're all doing.
I will let her speak on the auction.
Okay.
But I do want to say something about the firefighters, the police
Yes.
officers, and the Forest Service. A big part of this was to thank them for saving our homes, and I think it was 86% of the other homes in that neighborhood. There were a lot of homes lost, but what they did was absolutely amazing. And so a big part of this is a thank you to those people that helped our neighborhood. And I have a story I want to tell. I call them heroes, but they don't like to be called heroes.
Right.
And I had many emails from these people that said, we aren't heroes, we're just doing our job. And that's one of the paintings that I have, is called We're Just Doing Our Job. But I met a few of them, and I said, is it all right if I call you awesome? And they said, yeah, that'll work. And I said, so now they're called awesome. We don't call them heroes, we just call them awesome. And again, I want to thank, this is a big part of this, and I'm having prints made to be given away to any of the firefighters, policemen, or Forest Service that want a print. I'm having 2 of the pieces printed up, so those will be a gift to those people, to thank them for their work and their dedication and their humbleness also. It's pretty amazing.
It's a huge gift, and also the printing is being done as a donation as well, correct?
Yes. I have a good friend that I worked with for years that I used for a lot of my printing, and I called him, and he'd sold his print shop, but it had gone to work for another print shop, and I said, I'd like to know what this would cost to do the prints. And he said, it's not going to cost you anything. I'll do it free. And I said, well, really, I'll pay for shipping or paper or what. He said, no, don't even think about it. I will do it free. He's from South Texas and a good friend. And
that's beautiful.
And wow, yeah, yes. That's how everybody's come together with this. And it's amazing to me how people just say, I'll help. I want to help. I want to be a part of the rebuilding and support. And wow, it's pretty cool. Pretty amazing what people do. And so yeah, he did them for free.
We're working with the city offices, and there'll be a separate presentation to the first responders.
Wonderful.
And that will occur the week prior to the auction.
Okay.
And there'll be some media coverage on that. I don't have all the details yet, but they are definitely working that. So that will take place. Mm-hmm. And then we'll lead up to the auction. And you wanted me to talk about the auction.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, we can't talk about
You go for it.
We cannot talk about the auction without thanking Colorado Springs Together. They are amazing, and for people who don't know, they are this team, the offices that were put together to handle all things fire from the mayor's office, and he put Bob Cutter in charge of Colorado Springs Together. When I was trying to work out logistics of an auction and whatnot, the thought came, go to Colorado Springs Together. They're helping with everything else. So we went. I met with Bob, Annie Riley, and John Henry there at the offices. They were enthralled and enthusiastic immediately about the possibility of this. And so by teaming with them, this project has just really taken off on a grand scope. So now the auction that was just going to take place as one of the events
yes,
has turned into the kickoff auction for the Week of Remembrance, the kickoff event.
That's beautiful.
It will be at Garden of the Gods Club on June 24th. There is a tour of the city, of the pieces all around. So leading up to then, people can come see the works at different locations. Vicki Diamond at Colorado Springs Style magazine was so gracious to say, when I talked to her last fall about this, when KKTV first broke the story, she was so gracious to say, I have the magazine to do this story in, and I want to break it in the spring. And she gave us a 4-page spread with the locations of where the pieces are.
Generous.
So it's just the enthusiasm of all of these major players coming on board and helping us realize this dream that we had. We can't thank them enough. They're going to make this exactly what I'd hoped it would be. It's near and dear to my heart.
I know it is.
So
And you're a force, though. You're a force in this. She's a force in everyday life. So
I think
I wouldn't say no to you, Lori.
yeah, I think the firefighters, police officers, and the Forest Service,
Yep.
and
Yes.
Colorado Springs, and Vicki Diamond at Style Magazine, and I'm thinking all of them, but the most important is this one. She has done an amazing job. She made it happen. It wouldn't happen otherwise, and
Wonderful.
it's pretty awesome.
Wonderful.
She's dedicated a lot of time, and
Yes.
again, I do what I do, and I was just painting. That's what I was doing, and she took it and ran with it, and it's pretty cool.
It's
Love it.
wonderful.
He's pretty cool.
But you sound like the firefighters. I'm just doing my job.
I am
Your
just
work
doing
is
my job.
exquisite, and let me tell
Yeah.
you that this is not just around the works that you did around the fire. Your painting, your works. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. They're stunning. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to be a fan for a very long time.
Great. Thank you.
But for the auction, now I know that one of the things that we had talked about is if there's a business or even private individual who wants to bid on a piece or pieces,
Yes.
they can do so, and hopefully it would be gifted to one of the fire stations that dedicated their lives 24/7 to protecting all of us. So I want to make sure that I mention that. And then the proceeds, what do we know about what the proceeds will be used for?
The proceeds will go to Colorado Springs Together. They will basically cover one of 3 projects, but actually 2 that Steve and I have told them that we would like it to go to, which
Okay.
is, and it's designed to rebuild community. They're going to redo the park. And the park will be integrated with the school, Chapita Park Elementary. So this will be the first time, I believe, in the city history, and maybe even the state, where a city park incorporates in with a school, so that they will
great.
utilize that space, and there will be a memorial to the fire that will be in the park. So because obviously there was insurance that takes care of rebuilding houses, but this
Right.
project is not, and Colorado Springs Together's aim is not just about rebuilding houses, that's brick and mortar. It's about rebuilding community. Not everyone is rebuilding. The community was heavily devastated, and so these projects that bring the community back together as community is where the proceeds from the auction will go. So namely the park and the memorial, and rebuilding that park, because
Fantastic.
that's a center hub for Mountain
It
Shadows
is.
for the community, is that park. And so
Yeah, the work is donated basically to Colorado Springs Together,
Okay.
and they will have gather a group of people that will work on where the money will go. So there'll be a group of people that will decide, and it may be divided up between the memorial or memorials and the park. So we've just basically donated it to Colorado Springs Together and let them work out the details with that. All the money will go, proceeds will go to them, and they will have a committee that will decide that.
I'm not worried about it with the way
Yeah.
that everyone came through and the integrity level, which is so very high. I know they'll do the right thing.
Yes.
they definitely will.
There you go.
So
They definitely
worries.
will.
Yeah.
now we're going to be showing some of your paintings. What, maybe if you could go through just a few of them to describe what people will be looking at and bidding on.
I'll start with the watercolors. About 3 days after we got back in, we went on a little mini vacation to get out of town, basically, and I started doing some of the watercolors. Like I had said before, I'd taken photos of the smoke plume off of my back deck before we left, and I kept looking at them as we were evacuated, and I kept thinking, I'm going to paint this. This is just, it's too, whatever happens, I didn't know what would happen at that point. So I was already thinking about painting them. So when we left, I did some watercolor sketches of the fire and the smoke and different things. And some of those are early on sketches for bigger pieces. I eventually did the door paintings, which are reclaimed doors from the resale store. And I thought of it as rebuilding, the destruction and also the rebuilding of the homes. So they're actual doors. And I guess one of my favorites is of the original smoke from our back deck.
Yes.
And there's a progression from that to the firefighters fighting the fire, and the birds which we'd spoke of, which when I first started walking around it, when we got back in, I was first walking around the neighborhood, these birds were laying on the sidewalk, and it just crushed me. It wasn't just stuff, it was an animal that was laying
Yes.
there. So one of the doors is of the birds. And I was talking to somebody the other night, they said, did you know what you were going to do or how you were going to do it? And I said, I had no clue. It just came out, and I didn't know what I was going to do next. It wasn't important. It was just images that I saw. I talked to several people, the photographer for the Forest Service and the videographer for the fire department, because I saw images online and on TV, and I would email them and say, can I use this for my work? And everyone said absolutely. They said, we don't want credit, we don't care, you can use it.
It's not
So
about
a lot
that.
of those images are from people in the community that were doing their job and working hard, and they said, we love your work, go ahead and use them. So you'll see Forest Service guys and from the videographer for the fire department right in the middle of the fire.
I remember
which was
that.
right off our street, and
I remember that.
and what an amazing video to see and hear. The audio is just amazing. Them talking,
That's
and
intense.
it shows the firefighter, rookie, first fire, putting out a house with a garden hose from the
Right.
house. That kind of stuff just hit hard to me, because I wasn't in the
Yes.
neighborhood. I was
Right.
off powers, hoping my house wasn't lost, and then I saw this video of these guys doing what they do in the middle of that, and to be able to see that just hit me really hard. And I was so thankful for them to allow me to use it, because it literally was in the middle of all of it. And what these guys do, and they are heroes. Sorry, they don't like to be called that, but they are, and to do that for people they don't even know. They're just saving homes and saving lives, and I wanted to make that point for two people to pass away in the most destructive fire in Colorado Springs. That is an amazing tribute to what these firefighters, police officers, and
Yes,
guys
thank
did.
you for saying that. It is.
Wow. Most